adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. Starring that jet-A Jerry Lace, Rocket J. Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hi, glad to see you again.
Likewise.
We got some great things on the show today.
Like what? Like what?
Well, you ought to know, Bullwinkle. You're in some of them.
Well, let's get started.
Well, our heroes are the proud owners of the Lazy J Ranch, 1,000 acres of the worst real estate in the West. So terrible is the terrain that the only thing they can raise on their ranch is worms.
That's right. We raise all kinds of worms.
Hook, cut, tape, fishing, and angle. Get along, little doggy.
And while Bullwinkle rounds up the herd by means of his surplus mine detector,
For detecting surplus mines.
Rocky has taken on the task of clearing all the stones off the North 40.
Gee, Mr. Lazy J, there must be a jillion of them.
1,008,000,000, Rocky. I counted them last July and August.
Boy, how can you be so lazy?
I work at it night and day.
Rocky started on his Herculean task. Back and forth he flashed, lugging the heavy boulders, and at day's end had a huge pile of rocks heaped at the ranch gate.
Well, now what, Rocky?
I just put up this sign and we're in the boulder business.
Rock garden kits.
Do it yourself with Rocky's Rocks. 10 cents each.
Boy, that's a keen idea.
As an idea, it may have been keen, but as a business, it was a terrible flop. So in the succeeding days, the price of Rocky's Rocks dropped lower and lower. Unfortunately, the pile grew higher and higher. Finally, the sign was changed to read,
Free. Take 'em away.
but still nobody bought any, and the pile grew larger daily.
Is that any relation to Dan Daly?
Bullwinkle!
Or Dilly Daly?
There's only one thing left to do.
Pay people to take 'em away.
No, listen.
Oh, I love these scenes where people whisper.
Tickles your imagination.
Tickles my ear fuzz.
Actually, Rocky's plan was very simple. He simply painted a large sign that read,
Warning, do not take rocks.
and left it on the pile overnight. Sure enough, next morning, there wasn't a boulder in sight.
Somebody even took the sign.
It's nice to know you can depend on people.
People indeed, for that entire pile had been taken by one man who now sat in a house on the outskirts of Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming, a house which was now full of rocks from floor to ceiling. And the man? Who else? That arch-criminal, that kingpin of crime, that mass of pure, mean...
Super Slab!
No, you're Boris Badenov.
Hello again, fans.
Tell me, Boris,
Yes, Natasha, he said, reminding everyone what her name is.
how come we got a house full of rocks?
You saw sign, Natasha. Do not take rocks. I had to steal them.
Had to?
It's in my contract.
What do we do with them, darling?
They must be worth something. Let's try and see.
So the two thieves tried their best to use the rocks as bowling balls.
Okay, Natasha, knock down 10 pins.
But the stones weren't quite round enough for that.
Oh, sorry, darling. Should I get doctor?
Of course not. Get Pinboy and set me up in other alley.
They even tried the boulders as ammunition for a huge cannon.
Ready, aim, fire.
They were a little too heavy.
We tried with different gun.
And please, darling, different gunner, too.
But where is Boulder?
As luck would have it, that huge stone was rolling downhill, right toward the main street of the little town of Squaw's Ankle.
Boris, that stone, it will crush hundreds of people.
Well, what do you know, Natasha? It's good for something after all.
Will the massive stone really wipe out the village? Be sure to see our next episode, Our Town or the Home of the Grave.
for the dancing fool, Bullwinkle.
Again?
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
And now for one of our special fairy tales.
Yeah.
You remember King Midas? He had a gold mine at the tip of a finger. Everything he touched turned to gold. For instance, that golden statue in the corner, that was once his daughter. Yes, although it was a fabulous talent, it had its drawbacks.
Ah, wonderful. Catfish for dinner.
But no sooner did he pick it up than the catfish became a goldfish.
I've got it. I'll hire somebody to feed me.
And so he was fed by Proxy, which was the name of his favorite servant.
More problems, sire.
Yes, if you please, Proxy.
This relationship lasted almost 1 week, for on the 7th day, Proxy received his wages.
What would you like, Proxy boy? A gold watch, a gold tie pin? Pick it out.
Proxy settled for a gold coin. He was smart, but not smart enough, for upon receiving his pay, he stuck out a hand to thank his employer. Proxy became a fountain in King Midas' garden. Now, unknown to many people, myself included, King Midas had a son.
My boy, why is it we never spend any time together?
You think I want to wind up like Sis? No, Dad. I think it's best that I leave home.
Oblivious to his father's pleas, young Midas packed a suitcase, a golden one naturally, and left the castle in a heavy coach. Heavy because it too had been turned to gold. The boy enrolled at a large university and majored in dentistry. Every so often, he would hear from his father.
Who's the letter from?
From my dad.
How can you tell?
The envelope. It's 14 carat.
The boy studied hard and was so intent upon graduating, he failed to notice a change in himself.
Anyone have a pencil?
Here.
He took the writing instrument and it turned to gold. Not the best gold, mind you, but gold nonetheless.
The darn thing won't write. Where you get this gold pencil from?
Wasn't gold when I gave it to you.
He shrugged it off and went back to his books. As you can see, he had inherited his father's golden touch. It began in small ways, like the pencil incident, but manifested itself on graduation day.
You are not only our school valedictorian, but you got brains too, boy. It is with the utmost pride and honor that I hand you this scroll.
Oh, thank you, Dean.
The scroll changed to gold, and the dean went that way too.
Dean, speak to me. Oh, Dean, what's wrong? Oh, Dean, you look dizzy, Dean.
Aware of his dreadful legacy, but still a dentist at heart, the sorrowful young man opened up an office and went into business.
Brushed in twice a year, eh?
That's what I'd say. Oh, by the way, who put all those gold teeth in for you?
What gold teeth?
Horror of horrors, he had unknowingly transformed all the man's teeth into gold. In fact, it wasn't long before all his patients were likewise equipped.
All I wanted was an extraction, not a gold mine. My boy, it's good to see you again.
How can you say that after what you've done to me?
What have I done? What have I done? Where have I gone wrong?
You have created a finster.
You mean monster?
I know a guy named Finster who's a monster.
They had a father and son discussion during which the boy displayed his prowess by turning various things into gold.
And now I have a good mind to touch you. Oh, dear Dad.
You do that to your own father?
Well, you did this to me, your son.
King Midas spoiled what might have been a golden opportunity by talking his offspring into visiting an old witch who lived on a hill.
Go away. I have a spell to get out by noon.
But my dad said you would de golden touch me.
Oh, very well. Sit in a chair and I'll be right with you.
The only chair in the room was a genuine Louis XIV, the witch's pride and joy. He touched one arm. The chair was transformed into gold, and because of its sudden gaining of weight, it lunged through the floor.
Why, you little...
Oh, I tell you, an angry witch is the worst kind, so the son wasted no time in beating a hasty retreat.
If I ever lay my hands on you...
Returning to his dentist's office, the crestfallen lad pondered his fate. That's when a voice spoke from the chair.
I should like a gold filling, young man.
Sir, if I so much as touch one tooth, your entire set of teeth will turn to gold.
That's fine by me, Jack, and in return I shall tell you how to solve all your problems.
How do you know about my problems?
I've been listening to the story.
Oh,
He went to work, which simply meant that he touched one molar.
There you are. You now have a mouth full of gold.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now listen closely. Here is how you can put your golden touch to good use.
The dental office has been for rent for many, many years. You see, the boy took the stranger's advice and got out of dentistry altogether. What did he go into? Well, that's his place of business there, that little shop beside the river with the sign that says Junior Midas, locksmith. But I don't understand. What does a golden touch have to do with being a locksmith?
What's the matter? You never heard of Goldilocks?
Hello there, you wool gatherers. Today's poem is the old classic, Maury Had a Little Lamb.
Maury? That's Mary.
You're a boy, aren't you?
Yeah, but...
Okay, Maury had a little lamb. It's really me, folks. Its fleas were white as snow.
its fleas were white as snow.
They're albino fleas. I got 'em at... Uh-oh, little rascals got away. Where was I?
And everywhere.
Oh, yeah, and everywhere that Maury... Oh! Went the... Oh! Hey, what's going on?
Those fleas are biting you, Bullwinkle.
Oh! Ah!
You better get out of that sheepskin.
I can't. The zipper's stuck. Oh!
Well, hold still, Bullwinkle. I'll shear you.
Oh! That's my own personal pelt you're snipping.
Well, here, maybe this'll do it.
So if you have a little lamb, just take a tip from me. If it has fleas as white as snow...
Just use some DDT.
Yeah.
Look, Bullwinkle, a message in a bottle.
Fan mail from some flounder?
No, this is what I really call a message.
Husky, a breed of dog with a sore throat. And here in the wilds of Canada, there were no huskies, only wolves.
What is that chilling sound, Dudley?
That, fair Nell, is the sound of the mockingbird.
But it wasn't the mockingbird that destroyed their picnic. Along with Dudley's trousers, it was the dreaded timber wolf. Incidentally, the one in the shorts with the yellow stripe down the side is our hero, Dudley Do-Right of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
Why did you do that, Nell?
Do what?
Destroy the picnic and my trousers.
It wasn't I, Dudley. It was a wolf.
You Canadian girls are never at a lack for an answer, are you?
Oh, Dudley.
The innocent little thing shedding teardrops is or was the light of Dudley's life, Nell Fenwick, daughter of Inspector Fenwick, commander of the Mounted Post.
Why did you arrest my daughter, Do-Right?
For destroying government property, sir.
You mean your trousers?
No, this picnic basket. I borrowed it from the PX.
Nell got 30 days, mostly because it was her second offense. That night, the Post slept soundly. Suddenly, about 1 in the morning...
Do-Right, what's making that noise?
I think it's a mockingbird, sir.
At this time of the night?
How about Nell?
No, she's still in her cell.
The howling went on until the wee hours of the morning. Inspector Fenwick ordered his command out on the parade ground.
All right, men, count off my numbers. 1, 2, 3. Well, Do-Right?
Well, what, sir?
Aren't you 4?
No, sir, I'm 26.
I don't want your age, Do-Right. You're 4th in line, therefore your number is 4. All right, chaps, we'll try it again. 1, 2, 3.
25. I won't be 26 till next week.
The inspector was about to order a court-martial when...
There goes Nell again.
It isn't Nell and it isn't mockingbirds. Those are wolves. Do-Right, get a rifle and go shoot them.
4.
You're too late. Get a rifle.
Those weren't ordinary wolves howling up in the hills. True, the majority were of the 4-footed species. But their leader was a wolf who got around on 2 feet. His name, Snidely Whiplash. His occupation, warmonger.
You there on the end, the one who used to sing with the 4 aces. You're supposed to come in on the downbeat of the 4th bar, not the 5th. All right, this time we'll give them the old oaken bucket from the top.
The game is is up, Whiplash. Drop that baton.
Dudley, do right.
No false moves, Whiplash. This rifle is loaded.
Now, so are you, or else you wouldn't be holding it backwards.
Yes, Dudley had them covered with a rifle butt.
See him, wolves. He's a spy from Julia.
But luckily, a Mountie always carried the Mountie manual. And there on page 5, under Wolves, How To, were the words,
Wolves, wolves, go away. Come again some other day.
Off they went into the wild blue yonder. Snidely Whiplash faced his enemy alone.
Not quite. Spot, come here, boy.
Out from behind the tree came the most vicious wolf Dudley had ever seen.
Where'd you get the Cocker Spaniel, Snidely?
From a sick friend. All right, Spot, you haven't eaten in 3 weeks. Now's the time to go off your diet.
There was no advice in the manual for Cocker Spaniels, so Dudley was forced to take flight. Dudley could run like the wind, but unfortunately there was no wind that day, and his pace slackened considerably. By this time, he and the wolf had made it to downtown Montreal. There up ahead was a neighborhood theater. Dudley ran inside for 2 reasons. He might elude the wolf, and he hadn't seen the picture. Ah, but wolves are tenacious, and this one caught up with our hero in the 4th row.
Oh, my, look, the greatest Mountie of them all.
There on the screen in colorful black and white was Ran Through of the Mounted and his faithful dog, Faithful Dog.
Well, Faithful Dog, thanks to you we captured Dirty Dan. What do you got to say to that, Faithful Dog?
The wolf stared into Dudley's eyes, Dudley stared into the wolf's, and from that moment on, their lives were fused. They would team up just like Ran Through and Faithful Dog. 2 days later, Dudley and his wolf escorted Whiplash through the gates of the post.
Magnificent job, Do-Right.
Oh, Dudley, you're swell.
Clap this rogue in irons, Inspector. Oh, and say hello to my new partner.
Good grief, a wolf.
No, sir, this is Faithful Dog.
If he's a dog, make him prove it.
Faithful Dog, bury a bone. Don't fret, Nell. We'll find your father. He must be buried somewhere around here.
Well, when we left our story last time, a huge boulder was rolling downhill toward the town of Squaw's Ankle, Wyoming, followed closely by Boris Baranov and Natasha Fatal.
Natasha, boulder is gaining on us.
We couldn't stop it anyway, Boris.
Who wants to stop it? I just want to be there when it hits.
Then why not take shortcut, darling?
Natasha, are you forgetting who is brains of this outfit?
Sorry, darling. What do you want to do?
We'll take shortcut.
Oh, Boris, you've done it again.
A little way ahead, the villagers were all unaware of their terrible danger.
Dagnabbit, Calvin, nothing ever happens in this here town.
You're so right, Durward.
Hey, you fellows, big news.
What's that, Basil?
Harry the Hermit's in town for his annual haircut.
Oh, boy!
Hot ziggy!
Do tell.
Well, 23.
Yes, in Squaw's Ankle, even a haircut was a big event. And so in a few seconds, everyone had dashed into the barber shop. As a result, the huge boulder rolled harmlessly down the middle of a deserted main street, and when Boris and Natasha arrived on the scene...
Phooey, there's nobody here to get run over by boulder.
Oh, yes, there is, darling.
Wonderful. Who is it? Oh, boy. Run for it, Honeybone.
Run for what?
Run for your life.
And the 2 villains raced down the street as the mighty stone rolled after them.
In here, Natasha.
Quickly, the terrified pair dashed into a nearby building, which just happened to be the sample room of the government assay office.
Brace yourself against door, Natasha.
Right, Boris.
You sure you're bracing, Natasha?
Let's face it, darling. This thing is bigger than both of us.
It certainly was, for the huge stone left a trail of wreckage behind it. Samples of gold, silver, uranium, and just plain dirt. The assay office was a shambles, and so was Natasha.
Well, Boris, Boris, where are you? Come in. Boris, is that you?
You were expecting maybe the Tin Man?
In a little while, the villains had caught up with their rolling stone. Boris looked at it closely.
Nope.
What is it, Boris?
Just as I thought. No moss.
But that stone had gathered a lot more than moss, for in rolling through the ore samples, it had picked up bits of every precious metal known to man. And Boris had picked up something, too.
A lump on my head.
And an electronic analyzer.
Why did you steal analyzer, darling?
Best reason in the world.
Why?
It wasn't nailed down.
But just then, the analyzer began to act very strangely.
Hey, what's going on?
You have it pointed at stone, darling.
And look what it registers, Natasha.
Gold.
Silver.
Copper.
Uranium.
Malibit. More gold.
Boris, this rock is worth a fortune.
And what's more?
Yes?
Plenty more where that came from.
On ranch that belongs to Moose and Squirrel, right?
Wrong. On ranch that used to belong to Moose and Squirrel.
You mean?
I sure am. Come on, Natasha.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch,
I just knew he'd say that.
Rocky and Bullwinkle were just finishing the spring roundup of their underground herd. For the Lazy J, you remember, was really a worm ranch.
Boy, that was a tough job. Sure glad it's over.
Over? All them worms gotta be counted and branded.
We gotta count 'em?
Careful like, too.
Gee, we're gonna need some help.
But who?
Hoot, man, allow me to introduce myself.
Hokey Smoke, who are you?
World's only Scotch cowboy.
A Scotch cowboy? What's your name?
What else? Black Angus.
Uh-oh. Don't miss our next episode, The Big Countdown, or Tally in Our Alley.
Well, I guess that about wraps up another Rocky show.
Certainly hope you enjoyed it. I did. I always say.
Bullwinkle, time for us to go.
Already? Okay, but first, here are some of the people who made this show impossible.
That's not all.
My fingers get tired. Oop! Got away from me again.
Well, see you next time. Ready, Bullwinkle?